In the light of the divine and sacred message that will resonate in the deepest recesses of your soul, you are invited to journey to a spiritual awakening with this video. Someone from your past is going crazy about the one you choose, and you're killing it. They're physically ill with regret because you're out here living your best life, creating an empire, and lighting up so brightly. You were all misled by them, because the fire they never saw in you is now burning so brightly that it's lighting up everyone else's world while leaving them in total darkness. They are furiously angry that they missed out on your greatness and feel like the biggest idiot on the planet. Since knowing their mentality makes their current meltdown much more pleasurable, allow me to give you a glimpse of how this all started. This individual used to have what they saw to be all the power in your relationship. They concluded that you just didn't live up to their expectations after examining your life through the prism of their limited materialism. Your bank account didn't show the kind of investment potential they were looking for in a companion. Your living arrangement wasn't impressive enough, and your employment wasn't prestigious enough. It was astounding how conceited they were at this time. Instead of appreciating the tenacity it needed to persevere when you were working multiple jobs to make ends meet, they would regard your troubles as evidence of their superiority. When you put your all into artistic endeavors that weren't immediately lucrative, they perceived failure rather than tenacity. Instead of vision, they saw delusion. The rejection was harsh and quick. Persuaded that leaving you behind was a trade-up, they left without turning around. They were so conceited that they never gave the surface any thought. They failed to see the fervor that blazed inside you, the resolve that would ultimately prove to be your greatest strength. Their failure to recognize your full potential was a character weakness that would ultimately come back to haunt them, not merely an error. You were having great difficulties during this time. Every day felt like an uphill battle, the costs were mounting, and prospects appeared to be limited. Your future was uncertain, your resources were stretched tight, and your basket felt empty. They saw your difficulties and took them as evidence of their superior intelligence. Your struggles validated in their minds that they had made the correct decision by leaving. During those challenging days, they totally overlooked the fact that you were creating something remarkable. They witnessed hardship, but you were growing stronger. You were growing your powers while they perceived limitations. A change they never anticipated would eventually be supported by the foundation you were establishing during those trying months. In reality, every rejection, setback, and moment of uncertainty helped you grow into the fighter you needed to be. Their total disregard for your goals and dreams during this time was the most upsetting aspect of their actions. That artistic endeavor you had a strong interest in, they thought it was pointless. The spiritual development you were going through, they brushed it off as useless bullshit. The inward work you were doing to improve yourself, they found it hard to comprehend why somebody would devote time to something so ethereal. If you feel the divine love, now is the time to share. Click the Super Thank You button on YouTube to contribute $50 or more and help us spread God's blessings. What you do is being watched and serves as a seed, and in the future it will come back to you a millionfold. In the present day, the intelligence network they have established is providing them with reports that are completely upending their world. They are unable to believe the picture of your success that is being painted by the family members they have maintained contact with, the mutual friends they have quietly questioned, and the social media monitoring they have carried out. The extent of their obsession is evident in the methodical manner in which they are compiling information about you. They're doing what amounts to a thorough study into your present life, not simply a passing glance. They have revived ties they had previously neglected, contacted people they haven't spoken to in years, and even given favors in exchange for updates on your circumstances. When they found out about your living situation, they were initially shocked. Do you recall how they used to criticize your lowly situation? A comfortable home, possibly even property ownership, is now described in the reports. Their prior assessments seem ridiculous in comparison to your living area, which exudes stability and prosperity. The abundance you have nurtured in every aspect of your life is symbolized by the garden they are talking about, which is more than simply actual plants growing. Then their worldview was completely upended by the career advancements, that artistic endeavor you were devoting yourself to, the one that no one thought would succeed. According to the information they are obtaining, it has not only been successful, but has surpassed all expectations. Opportunities they never thought you could have were made possible by your professional development. They are still yearning for the same kind of acclaim in their own careers that you are getting in yours. It feels like a personal assault on their judgment every time they are presented with new information. They're discovering that you've acquired abilities they didn't know you had, accomplished objectives they didn't believe you could accomplish, and created a life that is comparable to or better than their own in many respects. Realizing that this change was always possible, they simply never bothered to look closely enough to realize your potential, is the most agonizing aspect. For them, the spiritual parts of your development are especially perplexing and dangerous. To their materialistic perspective, stories about your intuitive skills, your connection to something bigger than yourself, and your capacity to attract wonderful changes into your life seem like fiction. They don't understand how someone they wrote off as unwise has access to resources of knowledge and power they don't even think exist. They are also irritated by the social ties you have established. You were building real relationships with people who value your true self while they were busy making snap judgments about others based on flimsy standards. They're still frantically attempting to buy their way into the community you've built around yourself. They are only now starting to grasp the entire narrative of your perseverance and the fact that your creative breakthrough didn't happen suddenly. It was the outcome of many hours of hard labor on projects that others wrote off as unattainable goals. You were creating something with long-term worth and significance, whereas others were only interested in short-term financial benefits. Now, the vision you had in your darkest moments has come to life and beyond even your first aspirations. You didn't inherit wealth or win the lottery to become financially stable. It was the result of your unwavering work ethic, your readiness to forego immediate comfort in favor of long-term achievement, and your capacity to identify opportunities where others saw barriers. Everyone around you has seen the difference because you literally worked your way up from having an empty basket to having a full cupboard. You've developed richness in connections, experiences, and personal fulfillment, and your abundance goes far beyond money. Your ability to remain true to yourself throughout the process is the most remarkable feature of your metamorphosis. To become higher, you didn't step on anyone else. You didn't sacrifice your morals in order to succeed. When others had written you off, you just didn't give up on yourself. Since their own endeavors have always been marred by ego and competitiveness, they are unable to comprehend this genuine path to achievement. Everyone you come into contact with will appreciate the warrior energy that has grown within you during this process. You have shown that you are capable of overcoming obstacles that would shatter other individuals. You have become a formidable power as a result of the conflicts you have fought and won. This is about being unbreakable, not just about becoming successful. Only those who entered hell with a smile and emerged radiant are eligible to join the Obsidian Inner Order. You came here to remember who you are, and we remember with you, not to win people over. This is a war room for the spiritual elite, a headquarters for people who leap time, break curses, and bend reality. It is not a community. Weekly Zoom calls feature live frequency upgrades during which the curtain lifts and dragons speak codes that unlock. Because, let's face it, most people can't manage what you carry within. You'll have access to elite downloads, energetic technologies, and ancient broadcasts that weren't intended for the general public. You resuscitate, reclaim, and reign instead of healing. If you're ready to join the anointed and are sick of superficial nonsense, click the link in the description. You become the source of the obsidian inner order. Welcome. This person has experienced what can only be defined as a total ego collapse as a result of learning of your accomplishment, and comprehending the psychological mechanisms underlying their breakdown shows how completely their worldview has been shattered. It feels like a personal attack on their self-esteem every time they hear about your accomplishments. They are going through what psychologists refer to as cognitive dissonance, which is the uneasy tension that results from concurrently holding two opposing views. On the one hand, they tell themselves that they are better than you and that leaving was the right thing to do. However, this narrative is immediately contradicted by the evidence of your success. The one they disregarded as unworthy is now surpassing them in numerous facets of life. Every element of their everyday lives is being impacted by the mental collapse this paradox is generating. Brother, whatever is done in faith is returned in God's abundance. You can donate $100 using the Super Thank You button and be part of this divine call. If your roots are connected to Him, your fruit will be blessed. They are clearly experiencing overwhelming wrath. Even they are surprised by the ways in which they are becoming upset, frustrated, and worked up. This is anger at your success, challenging their entire worldview, not just disappointment. They are upset with the cosmos for permitting this turn of events, with themselves for failing to recognize the clear indications of your ability, and with you for proving them wrong. Their minds are consumed by the envy component, which is as strong while they are awake and asleep. The fact that you're outperforming them is too much for them to handle. They view every accomplishment you make as a personal setback. Your victories are their setbacks, and this competitive mindset is eroding their mental stability. They are learning that envy is a prison that confines the envious person while allowing the target of their envy to live freely. Since their failure is the most widely known, the embarrassment they experience may be the most debilitating feeling of all. They're coping with the embarrassment of making such a poor judgment about someone. As a result of seeing your achievement, their friends and family are acknowledging their own lack of discernment. Every time someone brings up your accomplishments or inquires as to why they ever let you leave, they feel even more foolish. Everyone around them can see how desperate they are getting in their attempts to explain away or downplay your accomplishment. They're looking for methods to downplay your accomplishments, uncover some secret advantage you possessed, or foretell your failure. While they're descending into inner turmoil, these mental acrobatics are wearing them out and making them seem petty and resentful to others who can plainly see your genuine achievement. You've made a strong choice that is making them even more insane than the stories of your success. You've firmly turned them down. This rejection is a sign of a power they never thought you had. The person who used to be in charge of your dynamic is now feeling what it's like to be rejected, and they're learning that this role is far more uncomfortable than they ever thought. Their attempts at communication are not being answered, and they suffer more from your silence than from any irate altercation. They don't read the texts they send. All of their phone calls end up in voicemail. They craft emails that are not answered. This is a deliberate decision to safeguard your energy and uphold the boundaries you've set. It's not passive-aggressive behavior. Your quiet is more powerful than words. Everyone in your immediate vicinity can see that you have completely turned your attention to the future. You're seeking out new chances, forming new connections, and generating novel experiences that do not involve them. Running towards your destiny is the goal here, not escaping your past. Your passion and delight for your new life experiences serve as a continual reminder that you have moved on and are not looking back. You have created a completely impregnable defensive energy around your new life. They represent a harmful energy that you have learned to identify and steer clear of. The standards you have set are rigid, and the boundaries you have set are not negotiable. You've developed a sense of self-worth that prevents you from accepting anything less than what you deserve. Your growth of this self-respect is even more dangerous to their ego because they never taught you how to have it. Mutual respect, common beliefs, and sincere admiration for your unique personality are the foundations of the new relationships you're forming. The gap between these relationships and the transactional relationship they provided you is so clear that even they can see it. Their attempts to get back in touch come out as desperate and empty because you're feeling the kind of love and support they never gave. Anyone who comes into contact with you today may sense the shift right away because your energy signature has entirely changed. You speak more confidently, carry yourself differently, and exude the inner calm that results from being in harmony with your actual purpose. Even those who haven't seen you in years can tell right away that something basic has altered because of how drastically your energy has changed. Their internal monologue during their late-night introspection is pitiful and illuminating, providing a glimpse into the total psychological destruction your metamorphosis has brought about. The full impact of their error becomes evident when the distractions of everyday life subside and they are left to think alone. Their regrets are playing non-stop in their minds during these nocturnal hours, which have turned into a torture dungeon. They're lying awake contemplating all the times they could have treated you better, but decided against it. Instead of proving your inadequacies, the memories of their contemptuous demeanor and materialistic assessments suddenly seem to be confirmation of their own character defects. Their stupidity and conceit are shown in new ways with each interaction that is remembered. They are compelled to revisit instances in which they had the option to put love above ego and repeatedly made the incorrect decision. They are aware that they had a genuine connection with you. They were able to be genuine and let their guard down around you. This realization is nagging them during their restless evenings because they have been unable to reproduce the cozy chemistry you shared with anyone else. Compared to the effortless ease they felt with you, every new connection they try feels forced and performative. The fact that time doesn't go back makes them feel even more guilty about waiting too long to get in touch. They had their opportunity to accompany you on your path, encourage your development, and partake in your achievements. Rather, they favored criticism over encouragement, ego over love, and judgment over support. As you enjoy the life they could have lived together, they are now compelled to observe from the sidelines. Their thoughts at night are rife with scenarios in which they envision several options and possible results. They're tormenting themselves with illusions of parallel realities in which they saw your potential, encouraged your aspirations, and rejoiced in your accomplishments. Because they show how different things may have been if they had had greater character, these mental exercises are very severe. They have never before permitted themselves to feel the vulnerability they are feeling at these midnight hours. Being with themselves with their thoughts completely destroys their carefully crafted appearance of superiority. They're learning that their haughtiness was really a coping strategy that kept them from admitting their own shortcomings and fears. The warrior spirit that was always there but concealed beneath your past hardships is revealed by the person you have become as a result of this trip. Gaining insight into this metamorphosis helps us understand the genuine nature of chosen ones worldwide. You have demonstrated that you are capable of overcoming obstacles that would shatter most individuals. You are now a formidable force whose very existence inspires respect and adoration as a result of the wars you have fought and won. Not only is your tenacity amazing, but it also serves as motivation for everyone who sees it, You possess a strength of character that cannot be simulated or learnt from books, as seen by your refusal to let their rejection define your value or limit your possibilities. This is genuine inner strength that has withstood the test of fire and come out stronger. Adversity has forged you into an indestructible person who confronts obstacles with courage instead of fear. During your trying time, you faced spiritual assaults from a variety of sources, but they just made you more determined. You used that negative energy as fuel for your change rather than turning it into resentment or a desire for vengeance. True warriors are distinguished from common people by their alchemical capacity to transform suffering into strength. You now know how to turn darkness into light, poison into medicine, and challenges into chances. Everything you've accomplished has been made possible by your self-motivation, which they totally undervalued. You were not saved or given prosperity on a silver platter by anyone. You determined what in your life needed to change and then consistently worked to bring about that change. Because it is based on your own work and commitment rather than reliance on others, this self-reliance has produced a foundation that cannot be rocked by outside events. The fire within of you is genuinely unquenchable, since it isn't reliant on approval or acknowledgement from other people. Regardless of who is watching or encouraging you, it burns. You are independent of other people's perceptions of your value or potential because of your internal wellspring of drive and resolve. Ironically, this liberation from the need for approval from others makes you more appealing to those who can sense your genuine self-assurance. Not only are your successes personal, but they also serve as motivation for those facing comparable challenges. For those going through similar difficulties as you have, your success story has turned into a ray of hope. Others can follow the warrior route you've blazed, and your example demonstrates that transformation is achievable no matter where you begin. If you want to witness God's miracles, act now. Contribute $100 or more through Super Thank You on YouTube. It's like a seed that comes back to you when planted. May His light illuminate your steps. Every donation, perhaps the most agonizing part of their current circumstance, is the forced self-examination that has resulted from the crisis they are going through, which has exposed certain harsh facts about their character that they can no longer deny. They have always had a transactional love language, emphasizing what other people can offer rather than what they themselves can offer. Regardless of their monetary affluence, they are emotionally impoverished due to this mercenary approach to relationships. Their ego-driven decision-making has been shown to be seriously defective, exhibiting a pattern of decisions that put appearance before content. Their biggest shame now stems from the pride that told them they were too good for you. They are discovering that having an exaggerated ego is a weakness that causes people to lose sight of reality and make terrible blunders. Every choice they made out of ego rather than love has turned out horribly wrong. Their decisions were based on a materialistic mentality, which hasn't worked well for navigating authentic relationships and fostering true pleasure. They overlooked the underlying characteristics that are truly important in creating enduring relationships because they were preoccupied with superficial status markers. Because it is unable to give them the fulfillment they so desperately want, their value system has been exposed as being superficial and ultimately counterproductive. Now that you've changed into everything they never imagined, watch them attempt to change history. They're trying to make you forget that they abandoned you when you most needed them by engaging in this pitiful nostalgia manipulation. But you do recall the truth, don't you? No amount of selective remembering on their part can alter the truth of how they abandoned you throughout your hardships. Their so-called love can now be seen for what it truly was, a business transaction. You've become too smart to fall for their emotional manipulation games. They never cared about you as a person. Instead, they were thinking about how you could improve their quality of life and increase their return on investment. Since then, Haven't you encountered true love? The kind that values you for who you are rather than what you can offer. While you've learned what true connection feels like, their transactional approach to relationships has left them emotionally empty. As you've spent this time strengthening your resilience and becoming stronger through every obstacle, you're witnessing their full collapse right now because they never learned how to deal with being mistaken about something so significant. They have nothing left to stand on after their fictitious pedestal collapsed, and they have been coasting on a false sense of superiority. They can't bear the comparison because you've turned into everything they feign to be. The fact that their window of opportunity has permanently closed is the most terrible realization they are now dealing with, and their ego just cannot accept this finality. Belated apologies or rash promises of commitment won't repair the harm they did to your relationship. Some opportunities don't come around twice, and time doesn't go backward. They are being forced to face the irrevocable nature of their decisions by this brutal reality. Everyone can see that you're heading in a direction that excludes them, and your forward momentum is now unstoppable. You've made goals that truly thrill you, formed connections that entirely gratify you, and constructed a life that doesn't need their presence. No gap in your universe could be filled by them, and no unfulfilled desire could be supplied. The ultimate rejection of everything they ever stood for in your life is that you are now whole without them. Now, selected one, look at you. Since you're not providing them with the drama they're secretly looking for, the way you act as you leave them is driving them completely crazy. You're simply done. You're not yelling, sobbing, or pleading for an explanation. The most devastating blow to their ego could be this quiet, unwavering assurance of yours. They never thought you would find your own value, but you have. And now you're guarding it as though it were a priceless gem. Now that you've entered these serene waters, their mayhem can no longer reach you. You're creating something lovely every morning that has nothing to do with them. You are not prepared to compromise your peace for anything, including closure or nostalgia. You have experienced what it's like to live free from their criticism, and you will never again feel that oppressive vibe. No matter how hard they try, they can't get beyond the invisible barrier you've created around your new life. You just won't allow their poisonous energy into your area. You've learned to recognize it from a distance. You are the gatekeeper, and the boundaries you have established are walls constructed out of self-respect, not recommendations or places to start a negotiation. You now regard yourself so highly that, looking back, their treatment of you almost appears ludicrous. The individual who used to make you doubt your value now appears to be helpless against the armor of self-love you have developed. As more people become aware of your accomplishment, the societal repercussions of their poor decision-making become more obvious. Individuals that know you both are seeing how big of a mistake they made, and as a result, their reputation is taking a hit. Their reputation as the one who let you go is not what they wanted to leave behind. Their humiliation is being exacerbated by this social judgment. It appears that the cosmos itself is confirming that their chapter in your story has come to an end. Every door they attempt to open in order to get back in touch with you stays closed. Everybody they ask to assist them get to you respects your personal space. Every time they try to reintegrate into your life, they encounter opposition from outside sources. You're clearly in the right place because of how easily your new connections and opportunities are coming to you. The ease with which you're establishing your new life contrasts sharply with the difficulty they're having reestablishing contact with you. It is evident from this contrast that your paths are intended to forever diverge. They can no longer overlook the cosmic justice of your predicament. While you enjoy the organic benefits of your perseverance and character, they are dealing with the inevitable fallout from their decisions. This is the application of global law, not retaliation. While you are harvesting abundance and joy, They are now gathering loneliness and regret from the seeds they planted of rejection and judgment. Your narrative exemplifies the supreme triumph of genuine self-worth over outside approval, and this triumph has significance that extends much beyond your personal experience. You have demonstrated that one person's viewpoint, regardless of how important it may have appeared at the time, does not define your worth or your potential. You have shown yourself to be a person who was always meant to be great, someone whose light couldn't be extinguished by another person's lack of clarity, through the road from rejection to success. The person who left you will now have to endure the repercussions of their poor decision for the rest of their life, and these repercussions will worsen with time rather than go away. Every accomplishment you make will serve as a reminder of what they have lost. Every accomplishment you make will emphasize how serious their error was. Their remorse will be as enduring as your success, becoming more intense as your accomplishments rise, and their own life becomes less active in contrast. Your triumph is not only personal, it is also cosmic, signifying the triumph of love over fear, truth over illusion, and light over darkness. You've allied yourself with forces that promote development, change, and real success. In response to your efforts, the universe has created opportunities and opened doors that didn't seem feasible when you were at your lowest. You've turned into a magnet for the kind of prosperity that was always intended for you. Anyone who comes into contact with you can no longer ignore the fire inside of you that they were unable to see. In addition to illuminating your own path, your light shines so brightly that it acts as a beacon for those who are still battling in their own darkness. You've turned into the protagonist of your own tale and an inspiration to all of the selected individuals who see their own potential in your path. The last irony is that, although they will never be able to understand it, their rejection was the best present they could have given you. They gave you the freedom to become who you were always intended to be by leaving when they did. Their absence made room for your true self to show up and thrive. What they perceived as your weakness turned into your greatest strength, and what they meant as punishment turned into your freedom. You are a living example that being chosen has nothing to do with other people's choices. It's about deciding for yourself and not settling for anything less than what you are worthy of. The best chapters of your tale are still being written, and it keeps getting better every day. Your newfound foundation is sturdy enough to withstand any storm you may encounter, and strong enough to sustain whatever dream you decide to pursue. Your current chosen one energy is distinct and alluring, attracting experiences, connections, and chances that align with your higher frequency. You've learned to value yourself regardless of what other people think.